Hello and welcome to the Gotham Outsiders, the DC Pride 2021 celebration. Running to the front of the parade with the sirens, I'm your host, Bat Obsessive Chris, and flipping over rainbow flags with Nightwing, my co-host TJ.
Hello everyone, I am your Chris proclaimed Batman Acolyte.
We have a very special episode. We are doing a Pride celebration part 1 today with a number of exciting guests. So joining us today are creators of the DC Pride issue 1. Would you like to introduce yourselves, creators?
I guess I'll start. I am Danny Lore, pronouns they, them, and I wrote Clothes, Makeup's Gift, the Jess Chambers and Andy story in DC Pride with Lisa Sterl on the art.
My name is Ted Brandt, pronouns he, him generally, and I worked with my partner Ro on all the art for the Cena Grace written Be Gay, Do Crimes.
I am Ro Stein. Pretty much any pronouns, I'm really not bothered. And what he said, basically.
I'll go next. I'm Skylar Patridge, and I worked on Try the Girl with Vida Ayala, Jose Villarrubia, Ariane Maher, and pronouns she, her, they, them are all good.
I'm Marissa, and I did the coloring on another word for truck to move your furniture, and pronouns she, her.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for this. When we reached out, when I started reaching out to people to come on for this, it was just a rough idea. And I was like, well, let me try a couple people. And then I kept going. I'm like, let me try a couple more. Did it all at once. And then I just got a slew of replies of, yes, I'd love to all at once. And I was like, oh my gosh, how are we going to make this work? And I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
So we're going to get into the questions. To start off, we have a warm-up question for you guys. We have a question that we've brought up a few times throughout the show, and it's a hot topic. Who do you think is the best Bat detective out of the Bat family?
I'm going with Tim.
Tim.
Yes! the team Tim is continuing to go strong.
I don't know if I have an established opinion on that, so I will defer to the very certain individuals in the chat.
Yeah, you could phone a friend, but I think we're all going to say Tim at this point.
The listeners are going to think I rigged this in Tim's favor like usual.
Yes, we're big Tim fans over at Gotham Outsiders.
Excellent. So our second question then is, would you tell our listeners a little about the stories that you wrote for the project or worked on?
So our story was written by Mariko Tamaki and drawn by Amy Reeder, who I worked with on Amethyst. And I think Ariana lettered ours also. But it's just like a day in the life of Harley and Ivy. It's very sweet. Amy and I have a really good working relationship. So usually we have like some chats about what we want to do before we do anything. And usually she draws something that makes me really excited. And then I go like, what if we try this crazy idea? And then she's like, oh, okay, let me build what you want to do into this thing. So what happened was she, on the last page, there was those little heart frames, and that was so cute. And I wanted to mess around with some bokeh. So I said, what if we did like depth of field with heart bokeh on this? And I think it would make it so cute and romantic. And so we just figured out a way to make that work.
Oh, well, your colors were beautiful. They just popped so vividly. I loved it.
We did the
artwork for Be Gay, Do Crimes.
Yeah,
by
written
Cena.
by Cena Grace and lettered by Aditya Bidikar. Yeah, it's a cute, just like tiny short 4-page thing about Piper's relationship with his relationship with gay community,
yeah.
and a successor who feels like maybe he isn't pulling his weight. yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed being able to work on Drummer Boy because it's not really a body type that you get often in main characters of stories. So he was a lot of fun to work on.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of Grace's Iceman run over at Marvel, so I had a great time with this one. And of course, your art was excellent.
Oh, absolutely. I loved the character design in it. It was so good.
We can't take the credit for that because Cena actually designed Drummer Boy.
Yeah.
Oh,
We were just,
really?
Yeah, he did.
We were just implementing his vision on that one.
Well, you implemented it amazingly. So
Thanks.
Thank you.
I wrote clothes, makeup, gifts with Lisa Sturl, with Enrica Anglioni on colors, and Becca Carey on letters. Kind of the concept there was how to do both a tribute to kind of the concept of Flashes, but also making sure to show in what ways Jess is their own person, and really just kind of having some fun with it, because I think it's really easy, with Jess's background, being from another version of Earth and all of these things, to go angsty. And I just wanted to have Jess doing some swagger and smiling and flirting and being a disaster queer, and particularly getting the chance to write a non-binary superhero. It was also very important for me to kind of make that fact lived in that, like, Jess doesn't need to 101 anything. Jess just is, but there are still ways of expressing kind of not living by the binary whilst, for the audience, while Jess isn't like overthinking every step, like I would do the overthinking, not the not overthinking. But yeah. And then like Lisa and I really kind of jammed together in terms of kind of like the fashion and makeup kind of angle of it, and coming together to discuss the outfits and the looks was a very large part of this concept, particularly since I had just gotten Lisa's tarot deck like a week before I finished writing the script. So I actually just had a couple of cards lined up, my favorite cards lined up right next to my monitor while I was writing, to make sure that like I was kind of, writing for Lisa's energy.
As a non-binary fan, the story was really important to me. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I love like the mundaneness of all these stories. Like, yes, they're superheroes, but also they struggle with things that we all struggle with. I feel like that's what this anthology was doing. And I really think your story highlighted that too. It was very beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I worked on Try the Girl with Vida Ayala and Jose Villarrubia and Ariana Maher. And this one, it was The Question. So it was Renee Montoya. And it sort of walks the line between the sort of superhero element, or, the detective element that Renee does, but also this sort of like awkward discomfort of suddenly being interested in somebody, and not only being interested in somebody, but also realizing that maybe you misjudged that person a little bit, or you underestimated that person a little bit. And so, it's Renee who is approached by a woman that her sister has gone missing. And she's a district attorney. So she's kind of got some enemies and some eyes on her. And Renee's brought in to figure out where she is. And so she tracks her down. She, does her questioningly duties and finds her, and then kind of realizes that maybe she didn't need her help. So it's a cute story. It has a really sweet ending, and just sort of highlights that being kind of knocked off kilter by what you thought you were going into, and realizing it's something else.
This was my first Renee Montoya story where she's like a protagonist.
Yeah.
By the end, I was like, all right, I'm sold. I'm here. I ship it. Like,
right.
you got me.
We have some hardcore The Question stands in our listeners too. So they were all
awesome.
so excited.
Oh, super cool. I'm
And
glad
on
to
this
hear
panel, I mean,
that.
How could you
Yeah,
not be?
Absolutely. I love Renee.
And for our next question, what was your experience like working on this book, and how did the project come about with you involved?
We got an email.
Yeah, like it really was that simple. Like, because we were just coming up to wrapping on Crowded, and we just got an email from Andrea Shea, the incredibly wonderful both editor and human being, and who was like, "Hey guys, this is a really long shot, but could you fit it in?" We were like, but we were like, "Hang on, someone's asking us to do a thing."
Yeah.
Really? What? But it turned out it was actually legit, and we believe that now because we've seen the book.
For me, it kind of Michael McAllister edited my short, and I had been working with him on a couple of digital shorts, including Truth and Justice, where I wrote John Constantine at the time. And much like Ted and Ro, I got that email like, "Would you like to do this?" And I'm like, "Would I?" Like, yes. Like, I have to, yes. And then kind of from there, we ran through a couple of ideas, but the story that made it to the end is really pretty much true to my original first pitch, first 5 minutes of this is where kind of my heart is in terms of what story to tell. And then while I was working on the script, I got paired with Lisa, and then that really kind of affected the final shape of the script. In the same way that all artists kind of have those, those things that you're like, I'm excited to play with this. With Lisa, it really is kind of like its style, it's the personal style of each of the characters and how that plays with their, in with their personality and the storylines. So once I knew it was Lisa, I was like, oh, we can go full-fledged, kind of what I really, really want to do with the story.
Yeah, I had gotten an email from Andrea as well. And she basically was just kind of like, "Hey, so we're thinking of doing this DC Pride thing." So I was like, "Oh, that's cool. I can't." Well, for one, DC. I'm like, wait, I'm getting an email from DC. And then two, it's for a Pride anthology, which was like another check mark. And it's like, and Vita Ayala is involved. And I was like, what? So, I mean, I was game from the first sentence in that email. But yeah, that was basically how it came about, was just kind of a out of the blue email that made my whole freaking year.
Yeah, I think Andrea and I met a while ago. I don't remember. It's a long time ago. But we are friendly on Twitter and stuff. And she had been trying to get me on some stuff. And Amy and I, like I said before, we're pretty attached to the hip at this point. Just because we can vibe so well together. It's like when you're putting together a comics team, personality quirks can sometimes rub against each other, or those two personality quirks can click together really well. And our particular quirks happen to just click for our personalities. So it's it's great.
Excellent. So our next question then is, what does working on this book mean for you as a creator and as a fan?
That's a big question.
Yeah. I mean, wait, I should think before I say something.
I mean, it involved a lot of crying for me, but happy tears. Not only being part of this, but every step of the way where I found out a new piece of information, be it being asked to, the team, to seeing that the table of contents, and then reaching out to, some of my fellow creators and being like, this is real, and just this kind of overwhelming coolness of being surrounded by like a bit of a comics family, I think is like the biggest thing for me. You know, like looking at all the names on the table of contents and being so excited to be next to them in it, you know, and being so excited to see what each individual is going to bring to their piece, is just been like a really positively overwhelming emotional experience for me. You know, it's not often that it's a weirdly delightful feeling as a non-binary creator to be working on a superhero that I didn't have to beg to get created. You know, that I didn't, you know, that my coming on, you know, like it's great to kind of put your mark on things and be like, you know, I've introduced this character into the universe, but it feels really cool to have Jess already there, you know, but still fairly new, so there's a lot of space to play with, you know. And so I think I put a lot of my personal experience into that story, like the fact that I relate the Flashes in general a lot to my experience with ADHD, and why moving fast doesn't mean, you know, you're on time or are able to finish anything. And getting feedback that other people saw themselves has meant so much. You know, I got to see a comment of, you know, like a non-binary reader who, after I made a comment about myself and ADHD, being like, I had read them as ADHD while I was reading, you know, but, you know, and while like it was more that like I was writing the speed as a metaphor more so than like diagnosing Jess, like that meant a lot. It means a lot when you are excited about certain parts of a story and that's what people connect to, you know, seeing non-binary readers connecting to the moment where Jess is picking out the outfit, you know, and getting to see that everywhere when that was like, so that started out as me wanting to reference Harley Quinn and Mad Love, picking out the new costumes. And I was really excited about those panels. So the fact that people delight in them as much as I do means so much.
For me, there is a regular tension when you're working on IPs between what standards and practices says you can do, or like certain people who are maybe like less comfortable with things. And sometimes these big sea changes happen and you get to be a part of it. And so for me, one of the things that's really exciting is I do think this is symbolic of a big sea change at DC and not just a cash grab. Everybody wrote very sincere stories. I think like 90% of the people that worked on the book are LGBT, you know. It's a pretty big change from even a few years ago.
As well as all of that, for us, it was also just the loveliness of the people we were working with. Like, because Andrea, as I'm sure like anyone else who's worked with her can attest, is just an absolute delight of a human being, and so is Sina. And so like I think it felt like really exciting to us as much when it felt real, but like when we had that first
video
call with them.
Yeah, a lot of the time we do work that's quite hands off, and like it goes like, from writer to artist to colorist, and it's all very conveyor belt type thing. But working with Andrea and Sina, we got so much feedback and needed quite a lot of help with some certain aspects of it, and we got so much help doing it, and it was really lovely doing that.
Yeah, like it felt very much like a small community, the little bit we were making. So like, as well as the points that both Danny and Marissa have made, which yeah, absolutely they're part of it. Like that was the other thing that we really enjoyed out of this.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. I think I've been really fortunate to work with some amazing teams, and this was definitely no exception. I think Andrea brought like an enthusiasm and a supportive element to it that I wasn't expecting, but it fueled my excitement for it and made me want to put out the best thing that I possibly could. So I felt like it felt like a little team working together. Definitely, community is a really good word for it, even within a short story. And for me, it was important to me because I have never really been overtly open about where I land in the LGBTQ plus world, as far as publicly speaking. So this was kind of my publicly coming out to, I'm sure, a lot of people. So that makes it an extra special thing for me.
Congratulations. I'm so happy for all of you.
Yeah, that's incredible. It sounds like it was a bit of a found family situation working on this project. Thank you. That's really incredible. Completely switching the tone, we have a question that we like to ask our guests when they come on, which is, what is your DC Comics related hill you will die on, as ridiculous as possible, please?
I mean, yesterday, I think, would give a lot of people some fuel for a conversation. That'll be my hill. Catwoman would not stand for that.
Thank you. Yeah, do you want to let our listeners know what you mean? Though I'm sure if they follow us on Twitter, they already do.
Oh, yeah. Well, for anybody who doesn't know, the Harley Quinn animated series creators were told to remove a scene where Batman goes down on Catwoman. And so there was an uproar yesterday about people thinking that was ridiculous. And it was amazing. I felt like the internet was a joy yesterday for all of the jokes and memes and everything circulating around. But yeah, that I will go on the record and say Catwoman would never deal.
Are you joining us in hashtag release the pussycut?
I mean, sure, yeah.
This is an explicit podcast, everyone.
So I was going to say this sounds like a weird hill to die on, but actually, considering my Just story, this isn't surprising. Comics would be dozens of times better if we made sure that everyone paid attention to the cut of suit that Bruce Wayne wore and when and why. A while back, I want to say it was Kurt Busiek did a thread. It was like a couple of years ago on Twitter, talking about how Bruce would not just have a basic suit, right? And we often draw him and conceive of him in very kind of standard tux, standard suit, but like Bruce in a suit versus, like for public view versus Bruce in a suit not really kind of hiding who he is would be different cut suits. Bruce, knowing that he's going to be seen as a playboy, has like a spectrum of different kinds of suits and cuts he would wear, and he would always be aware of the image that each of these outfits would present, and would pick them as carefully as he picks his gear on his utility belt, because it would be another weapon in his arsenal. Him wearing a relaxed linen suit when he wants to be underestimated, or for like his wealth to kind of overwhelm, is going to look different than if he wants to be seen as the person in charge of the boardroom. And I think there are some artists who do this, who remember, but I think the more that I think that there's so much silent communication that can go in just from how well his suits are tailored. And this is a hill that I will die on.
That's a great hill. We're not going to say it's ridiculous. I like that. Are we getting any like Met Gala looks, like any Harry Styles going on for Bruce Wayne?
No, because he's never written that young.
That's fair.
It would be, because the thing is, if he's at one of those galas, he would not actually he would want to look good, but not want to stand out.
That's fair.
If he's younger and he's doing the ignore me because I'm a messy playboy, he still would not be doing the super artsy suits. He would do something that is technically in line with the fashion, but something about it seems slightly disrespectful so that people roll their eyes.
I love that.
You have me wondering, what would his Hellfire Gala outfit look like?
It would be real sassy. So sassy. But yes, I do think about every scene and clothing like this all the time, and I have to resist paragraphs of it all the time to everyone everywhere.
I love that so
I'm for
much.
it. This stuff is important.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite parts.
And we already agreed this is an explicit podcast.
Oh yes, please.
So a while ago, I was working on Milk Wars, and I was getting up in Lobo's junk, and I emailed Steve in like 2 a.m. I was very tired. I've been cramming this book, and I was like, "Hey, we agree that Lobo wears a chastity belt, right?" And
why did I even think to take a sip while you were talking? I don't know why I thought that was a good idea.
Because they lulled you in with something very like monotone. But for me, okay, here's the thing. Now, I don't know how deep you guys are into this scene, and I, again, should probably be thinking before I'm speaking, but whatever. Hopefully this won't come back to haunt me. There are different kinds, but I think because he can regenerate, I think he would have like a custom one where it's like spikes pointing inward, so it's not just your standard cage. It's like an
Iron Maiden for your cock.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway, you're welcome. Now you're all haunted by that too.
I love that it was so specific.
That was amazing.
Oh God.
All right, who can top that? Who's next?
I absolutely cannot
who's-
top that.
Who's topping Lobo? This is
Yes, the next question.
Yes, who's topping?
This is another thing though, right? Like, so I'm sorry, I'm getting very excited about this.
Please.
But like, so one, look, we know in the originals he's in S&M. We know it. We can see the aesthetics, right? But like, why do you think he's going around the whole fucking universe looking for the toughest people possible? Like, he's always in those originals, like he's always looking for like some nasty lady, like he'll try all different kinds of types, like a school marm or old lady or just like a bimbo. And I'm for all these types, right? But he's like going around the universe looking for the hardest top he can find, and he hasn't found them yet.
What a journey. One top to rule them all.
Well, my most controversial DC take, the Hill I'll Die On, is very tame compared to that one, but possibly controversial because I maintain that John Kent is a far better Superboy than Connell ever could be.
Ooh, shots fired.
Yep. I love Connell, but no.
Do you have a reason, or you're just like, no explanation, just that's gonna be your answer?
John is more of a Kent. Connor at best fits into the Jason Todd of the super family.
Is that the Lex Luthor side of his clone dynamic happening?
I thought it was the cut of his jeans personally.
He does like going topless where he can as well. He likes showing off. Yeah,
Fair enough.
Connell.
And we appreciate it too.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
like
Thank you for your service, sir.
like I said, very big fan of Connell, but he is not as good a Superboy as John is. No worse a character, but not as good as Superboy.
Really, again, just thank you all for coming on. Like, this book, I can tell it means so much to all of you, and you did incredible work. it means so much to me as a queer fan, even though I'm a very new DC Comics fan. Like it meant a lot to see such genuine stories, and I could just feel that in how it was put together and written, all of your hard work. And Chris, do you want to talk a little bit about what it means to you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So our dynamic on the show is that I'm the long-term fan. TJ is the like acolyte who's learning about DC. So for me, this book it's huge. I mean, we've had some DC queer characters, but to have a collection like this, to have it so put as the forefront and like clearly cared about with so much heart it's huge. And I hope we continue to have so much more of this coming forward.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have DC Pride Celebration 2022 next year. But until then, can we go around and ask you all where our listeners can find you on social media? And if you have any other projects you'd like them to check out, already released or upcoming, please feel free to mention those as well.
I am available on Twitter and Instagram on Stein404. We've got 2 volumes of Crowded out so far. The 3rd one is coming. It will be completed, possibly early next year.
It very much depends on like just how Tree's schedule treats her, and
the line work is done.
Yeah, our portion's done, but then like the other collaborators on there, they have very, very busy lives because they're important people.
Yes.
And much more important than us, so they're busy. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter. I mean, you can find me on Instagram probably, but I don't post there because managing one social media thing is already too much. So I'm on Twitter at 10_bandits.
You can find me mostly on Twitter. I'm technically on Instagram, but like barely, at weredogs, WEREDAWGZ, because I have a brand to maintain and it's werewolves. But pretty much that's, you can find me under that name in some place at some time.
When's the Dog Soldiers comic, Danny?
Listen, if that was ever on the table, I would just lose it. I deeply, deeply, deeply love that movie, and that's a whole nother podcast.
I hope it happens for you because I think you would kill it.
I would swoon.
You can find me at Sky Patridge. It's SKYEPATRIDGE, and I'm predominantly on Twitter. I do have an Instagram if you want to see pictures of dogs and cats and New Mexico landscape. I post a lot of that there, and then some art stuff as well. So it's kind of a mixture over on Instagram. And then tomorrow, actually, I have Resonant number 10 is coming out. I did artwork on the 2nd arc for Resonant 10 from Vault Comics. So that's the last issue. We're all wrapped up, wrapping up that story tomorrow. And then later on this year, I will have a volume coming out with Scout. And that is with Christoph Borgarks, Nadia Shamus, Rebecca Nolte, and Bram Meehan. So the creative team on that. So that'll be a YA story that's sort of fighting back against a regimented society with punk music and teen angst.
You can find me on Twitter. I've been posting less and less as I move away from social media. But I'm at Marissa Jaws at Twitter. And then I also have not figured out how to use Instagram. So you can find me there at ML Illustration, but there's almost nothing posted. And then let's see. Danny, Ted, Ro, and I have something coming out soon. I don't know when it's coming out. I don't even know if it's available outside of New York City. It's a very special limited edition comic. And then I believe Skylar and I are working on something right now. I don't know when that's coming out. usually
sure if we could talk
they
about
only,
it.
I'm a colorist, so they only tell me my deadlines. I don't know anything beyond that. So
Yeah, I don't know anything either, and I didn't know if we could talk about it. It's the only reason I didn't say anything.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Just know that there's stuff.
You
in
know
it.
things beyond your deadlines. I just literally, people will be telling me things are out and I'll just be like, it must be true because you know about it.
I so often I keep trying to like get it organized, but I never have published dates on anything, so I have a hard time promoting it.
Wait, people tell you your deadlines?
Yeah, it's good.
We have to figure ours out.
And then Harley Quinn animated series. There is a comic I am doing with T. Franklin and Max Sarin. And I wasn't told our letterer. I'm so sorry, letterer. But that will start coming out soon. And Max and I have sworn to cherish hyenas in it. Yes. And we have had to tone down the nudity, if that gives you an idea of where it's headed.
So probably not the pussy cut.
I was gonna say, can you work in Batman eating pussy into your comic? That's a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer.
I can't tell you yet.
Well, that is so exciting. Well, I love that all of you guys just have like, again, we said community. Like, I love that you're still working on projects together. That's really amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a wonderful time talking to you all today and like getting to know all about this project and all of you.
Yeah, if you thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. If anything you ever want to talk about, please reach out to us. You've been wonderful. We'd love to have any of you back at any time.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
Will Tim continue to be lauded as the best detective? Will Batman finally get to eat that pussy? Find out next time on DC 2021 Pride Celebration Part 2.